Okay guys, so this is the Go Math lesson 8.2. You're welcome to open up your book and do this work with me, or you can watch this video and then get into your book and do the work on your own. I'm gonna go through the lesson and then I will write down the answers in the share and show and share, whatever it's called, and upload that to your Google Classroom in your Go Math section. So this is one of those problem solving lessons, which we all love, but it's actually a lot simpler than some of the other ones, especially if you've been keeping up with the lessons I've been showing you on multiplying fractions visually. That'll definitely help you with this lesson. So the essential question is, how can I use the strategy draw a diagram to help solve the fraction division problem by writing a multiplication sentence? So we're going to be drawing out our fractions. So the problem we're going to be working with to start is about sandwiches and how you can cut them into smaller pieces and how many pieces you'll have. It says Erica makes 6 submarine sandwiches and she cuts each sandwich into thirds. How many 1/3 size sandwich pieces does she have? So basically you're taking 6 whole sandwiches and you're going to divide it by 1/3 to figure out how many 1/3 pieces of the sandwich I have in 6 whole sandwiches. So basically, like, each sandwich will be cut into thirds, and she wants to figure out how many total pieces she'll have to, like, put on her platter for her party or whatever she's doing. All right, so what do you need to find out? I need to find out how many 1/3 pieces are in 6 sandwiches, okay? And so how am I gonna do that? I'm gonna draw a diagram. I need to use the size of each piece, which is 1/3, of sandwich, and the number of sandwiches she cuts. So how am I going to use this information? I'm going to draw a diagram to use the information from the problem. Then I can use the organized information to find the number of 1/3 size pieces Erica has after she cuts 6 sandwiches. Okay, so they've already drawn out your 6 sandwiches for you. For this picture, we're going to use rectangles because sandwiches usually take the form of rectangles, at least submarine sandwiches do. Since Erica cuts 6 submarine sandwiches, my diagram needs to show 6 rectangles to represent the sandwiches. I can divide each of the 6 sandwiches into thirds. So this is 1 sandwich, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sandwiches. And I'm going to cut each one of those sandwiches into 3 pieces because this is a third, this is a third, this is a third. Together that would be 3/3, right? So I'm going to cut this sandwich into thirds, cut this sandwich into thirds, cut this sandwich into thirds, and so on. And you might be thinking, like, why do I need math to figure this out? When I cut the sandwiches, I can just then count how many pieces I have. Well, Erica might be thinking that she has a certain amount of people coming to her party, and she wants to know, should she cut them into thirds? Should she cut them into fourths? Can she just cut them in half? Maybe she has a certain amount of people coming and she wants to make sure each person can have at least 1 piece of sandwich or possibly 2. So she needs to make sure she's gonna have enough of her pieces of sandwich for everyone to have at least 1. So she wants to do the math before she starts cutting to figure that out. So to find the total number of thirds in 6 rectangles, I can multiply the number of thirds in each rectangle by the number of rectangles. So what that means is your original problem is 6 divided by 1/3, right? So I'm trying to figure out how many 1/3 can go into 6. So basically when you look at this, I have 6 whole pieces or 6 groups, and each group is taken 3 times, right? So another way of saying that is 6 times 3, which equals 18. So I have 18 pieces total here. So if you know anything about dividing fractions, and this is actually going to be tomorrow's instructional video and what you're going to be working on or tomorrow, I don't know when you're doing this work. So Wednesday, the 30th, April 30th, instructional video and interactive notebook of dividing by a unit fraction. So when you have this, you can actually just flip this around or find the reciprocal, and then you have 6 times 3 over 1. And if you remember anything about multiplying whole numbers times a fraction, you just multiply the whole number times the numerator, and you have 18. So Eric has 18 1/3 size sandwich pieces that she can serve at her party. So the problem that we're gonna do together, which they have not drawn anything for us, you might see some scribble scrabble here. I've actually already done this just to make sure I knew how to do it and then erased it to do it on the video with you. So Roberto is cutting 3 blueberry pies into halves to give his neighbors. How many neighbors will get 1/2 of a pie? So he has 3 whole pies that he baked, and he wants to give those away to neighbors. And so he's gonna cut each one of those pie into halves, and he wants to know how many neighbors he can pass these out to. So what do you need to find out? I need to find the number of neighbors that will get 1/2 a pie. I need to find out the number of neighbors that will get 1/2 of a pie. What information am I going to use? I need to use the size of each piece of pie, which is 1/2, and the number of pies. So I need to use the size of each piece, 1/2, and the number of pies. How many pies? 3 pies. And so how are you gonna use this information? I'm gonna draw a diagram. You're gonna draw the visual representation of this division problem. And you're gonna use this diagram to find the number of neighbors that will get 1/2 a pie. So in this case, I'm gonna draw circles out because pies are usually in the shape of circles. So I have 3 whole pies, right? And then I'm gonna cut each one of those pies in half. So this is a 1/2 a pie, this is a 1/2 a pie, 1/2 a pie, 1/2 a pie, 1/2 a pie, 1/2 a pie. So how many neighbors are gonna get 1/2 a pie? Well, if you just look at that, you can count and find 6. So how do you do that mathematically? So your original problem is 3 divided by 1/2. So like how many 1/2 pieces can fit into 3 wholes? So to do that with multiplication, 3 times the reciprocal, which is 2 over 1, which equals 6 1/2 pieces of pie. So how many people are gonna get pie? 6 neighbors are gonna get 1/2 of the pie. So explain how the diagram you drew for the division problem helps you write the multiplication sentence. So this diagram shows 3 groups of 2 halves. So I can use multiplication to find the total number of halves in 3 groups. So like, for example, this has 3 whole groups and there's 2 in each group, right? So it's almost like saying, well, I have 3 pies, 3 groups of something, and there's 2 in each group. So this is like stuff that you learned in like 2nd or 3rd grade when you started multiplication. There's 2 taken 3 times, or 3 times 2 equals 6, right? So 1/2 is just the reciprocal of 2. And because this is 3 divided by 2, you can change it into multiplication and multiply it by its reciprocal to get the answer. All right, so the work you're gonna do, the share and the show, this first problem talks about blocks of butter. So it says chef has 5 blocks of butter. Here's my 5 blocks of butter. And each weighs 1 pound. So this is 1 whole, 1 whole, 1 whole, 1 whole, 1 whole. Makes sense. She cuts each block into fourths, which means that each one of these pieces that she cuts in is going to be 1/4 of a pound. Because if this is 1 whole, 1 whole, 1 whole, then this piece right here is 1/4 of the block and also 1/4 of a pound. So you first draw the rectangles, we did that, then divide each rectangle into fourths, we did that. Multiply the number of fourths in each block by the number of blocks. So if this has 4 pieces and there's 5 pieces or 5 holes, how many total 1/4 does he have? So it's the division problem is 5 divided by 1/4, and the multiplication problem is 5 times 4 over 1, or just 4, which equals 20. Okay, so you're gonna do the rest of these on your own. You can show your work and just write your work all over here, or I always have like Post-its with me to do my work on Post-its if need be. And I will fill in the rest of these answers on the front and on the back. And I'll take a picture of this and post this into your Google Math 8.2 answers to the Share and Show. Have a great day.